Straight all day.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself. It's going to make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques, all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called work on your game. My name is Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is how to not relax, how to not allow yourself to relax when you find yourself winning, you find yourself in the lead on what you are doing. Before we get to that, let me tell you, when I send out a weekly motivation text message, which might become daily again, but either way, as much as it's guaranteed to keep you focused, sharp, and on point, however often I send it, you want to get that text straight to your phone, free of charge. All you got to do is hit me at my number, which is 305-384-6894. And when I send that message out, you'll be getting it straight to your phone. The other thing you need to know is that I have a free training for all the business professionals out there who want to get to that next level for yourself financially. You're at that six-figure level. You want to get to the seven-figure level, but you don't want to have to run yourself into the pavement in order to do it. Yes, this is possible. It does not require hocus pocus or a magic trick. Go to workonyourgame.net. That training is 40 minutes, taught 100% by me. Go there and you can see everything that I've shared in that training right there. So again, that's at workonyourgame.net. Those links and that number are both in the show notes to this episode. So just scroll down, take a look, and you'll see everything that I've just mentioned. Now, getting into this topic, this one is all about how we can condition ourselves to keep our foot on the gas pedal, or the pedal to the metal, as they say, and not grow complacent when things are going well. Something that I've noticed from in my time as a professional athlete to my time working with even people in the fitness world and also in the business world is that somebody will set a goal and they'll have some goal that they're going after, and hopefully you have a process and a strategy for going after the goal. Even people who I work with directly, this has happened, so there's definitely a process and a strategy for going after the goal. But what happens is when we start to get close to the goal, or not even close, but we are making significant progress. We have momentum going towards the outcome, and we can see things are working and we're getting progress, and we can actually measure it and look at it and say, okay, this thing that I decided to do, this is actually working. What happens for a lot of us is that at that point, we get complacent, we get lazy, we stop working as hard, we stop showing up early, we start leaving early, and we just basically take our foot off the gas. And we slow down on the efforts that created the very momentum that created the success. And then before we know it, we're stagnant again. And then before you know that, you're going backwards. You got momentum going in the wrong direction. So how can we undo this? How can we keep this from happening? Because this is just human nature that people tend to relax when they see that things are working. They don't go harder. They actually go no softer and not try as much. So what can we do to counteract this natural human instinct? Point number one. Topic once again is how to not relax when you're winning. Number one, always have a new goal in place. A simple yet effective idea, having new goals in place. Once you reach the current goal, and actually I shouldn't even say that, it should be when you are approaching the current goal. When you're getting closer and closer to the current goal, you need to have your next goal or goals, plural, lined up so that you have a reason to keep moving yourself forward. Human beings, we do our best work when we have clear targets, when we know exactly what we're going after. In other words, when we have goals. If you do not have a goal, it is hard to score. It's impossible to score when you don't have a goal, and it's hard for you to stay focused on anything when you don't have an outcome that you're after and you don't know exactly what the outcome is. So as you're getting closer to your current goal that you're working on, you need to be thinking about, all right, what's the next thing I'm going to do? What's the next thing after that? What's the next thing after that? All these give you reasons to keep yourself moving forward. All of us humans do our best work when we have a reason to do our work. And one form of a reason is a goal. Okay, I want to reach this outcome. That's my reason. But if you don't have a reason and you don't have an outcome, then it's hard for you to do your best work. And it's hard for you to stay focused, especially when you've been doing a whole lot of focused work up to this point. There's a little bit of fatigue that's going to set in. What's going to keep you driven? For those of you who are ambitious and goal-focused people, okay, you need goals. And even as you're hitting one goal, you need to get another one. As I said, this is a simple yet effective idea. So once you're reaching a current goal, or if you find yourself reaching a current goal and you don't have the next thing lined up, It's only natural that you do what any human being would do once you cross the finish line and you think the race is over. What would you do if you've crossed the finish line and you think you're done running, you think the race is over? What are you going to do? You're going to stop running, or at least you'll slow down. If you would like to keep running, though, and continue winning, then you need to give yourself a reason to keep running and continue winning. Now, this is represented in the form of the next goal. So in the sales and marketing industry, for example, there's a widely accepted belief. I would call it, you call it an idea, but I believe it's a belief and it's a real thing. It's a truism, and I know this to be true myself, being in the sales and marketing industry, that your customers and clients will continue buying from you as long as you continue selling to them. But what happens if you're in the marketing and sales business and you just stop selling things? You stop offering anything for sale because you got fat and happy because maybe you had a great month, you made a whole bunch of money, so you just stop selling. Or you turn off all your advertisements, you stop sending out marketing materials, you stop trying to get people to buy anything new, you stop trying to bring new leads in, you stop doing anything to generate new business because you're feeling good right now because you just made a lump sum of money last week or in the last 6 weeks or in the past quarter because you got fat and happy. But what happened? Well, the money's going to stop coming in. And why is that happening? Because you're not offering them anything. So this is exactly what happens with us. When we stop offering ourselves something to chase after, then eventually we're going to slow down simply because we have no real reason to keep running. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is how to not relax when you are winning. Number 2, you got to have a mindset of finishing the job. So to finish the job, first of all, we got to be clear what the job is, and secondly, we got to be clear what does it mean to finish it. How will we know that we have finished it? So 2 things need to be defined here in the 3-word sentence. What does it mean to finish, and what exactly is the job? These things need to be clear in your mind. Often the challenge is that people grow complacent when they're on their way to a goal and have reached a milestone in the process. That's really the challenge. It's not because they've actually reached the full goal. See, people don't relax because they hit the goal. They relax because they're on their way to the goal and they can see themselves getting there. They say, all right, I'm going to get it. Now I know that this is going to work. And that's when they relax, even though they haven't completed the job yet. See, it's like a basketball team having a 20-point lead at halftime of the game, and then they come out in the second half of the game very relaxed and very unfocused, not locked in, not on point, and all their gameplay becomes sloppy. Why? Because they're up by 20 points. So, this happens in sports all the time. Teams get up by a whole bunch of points, and all of a sudden they are less sharp. They're not playing as hard. They're not as focused on what they're doing simply because complacency sets in. Oh, we're up by 20, and it's almost as if you think the game's over just because they're up by 20. Well, you only led by 20 at halftime, which means if you could get up by 20, you could be down by 20. Same way you got up on the other team can get up on you. Now it's tied. Now you got to go into overtime. This is what happens with people in life. You get that 20-point lead, and then you start relaxing, you start taking bad shots, and all of a sudden there's a 10-point game, 5-point game, then you're losing. The game isn't over just because you're in the lead. If you have not reached the complete goal, and you need to be clear on what that complete goal is, then your work is not done and there's still more game to be played, which means you have not earned your right to relax. I remember seeing Kobe Bryant at a press conference once after the LA Lakers had won a game in the NBA Finals. I don't remember which game this was, but they had won one game in the finals, and there was a post-game press conference. Yeah, I believe it was post-game press conference, and Kobe's answering all the questions from the media and things like that, and he has this very stern, serious look on his face as he's answering the questions. And one of the media members asked Kobe, like, why are you so serious? I mean, your team just won a game in the NBA Finals. Shouldn't you be a little bit happier, more jovial, more excited, and positive about this? And Kobe's answer was, the job's not done. There's nothing to celebrate because the goal is not to win a game in the finals. To win the NBA championship, at least the last time that I checked, you had to win 4 games of the series, 4 out of 7. So the Lakers had won 1 game. Kobe said it's good that we won 1 game, but it ain't nothing to celebrate. My goal wasn't to win a game. My goal was to win the championship. So the job was not done. So when they asked him why he had such a serious look on his face, he let them know. He knew what the complete goal was. My question to you is, and your question to you needs to be the same thing. What is the complete goal? What's the big picture goal? And how do I know that I've reached it? And then once you answer those 2 questions, you can look at where you're at right now and answer very clearly, have I reached it yet? Is a yes or no question? If the answer is yes, then you can celebrate and you can relax. If the answer is no, then you have no reason to celebrate. You have no reason to feel like you've achieved anything because the game's not over. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is how to not relax when you find yourself in the lead. Number 3, Stop using the competition as a measuring stick. Yes, stop using the competition as a measuring stick. Instead, use yourself. Your most important competition is not the other competitors in the race. Your most important competition is you being better than what you have been in the past. There are many cliches around this whole concept of competing against yourself. Excuse me, competing against yourself, because this whole concept is a true thing. It sounds very cliche and maybe even very trite to some of you, but it's a true thing. That's the reason why it's such a known thing. Continually improving positions you to realize your full potential. If you are always competing against yourself and saying, okay, here's where I am today, how can I improve on myself today? Here's where I was 6 months ago, how can I improve on myself through this next 6 months? If you're continually working on yourself and continually striving to improve, this positions you for the potential of reaching your potential, if you are always trying to make yourself better. And understand that your full potential has no bearing, nor is it affected by anybody else's full potential. No bearing on, nor is it affected by somebody else's full potential. In other words, being better than all your peers does not necessarily mean that you have reached your full potential. Let me say that one again. Just because you are better than everyone around you does not mean you have reached your full potential. Because what does being better than the people around you have to do with your potential? What if you're surrounded by people who only have 20% of your capacity and they've all maxed out, and you're at 50% of your capacity, and of course you haven't maxed out, but 50% of you is better than 100% of them simply because you have more talent, you have more resources, you have more ability and more potential than they do. So you at halfway is still better than all the people around you. It doesn't necessarily mean you've achieved anything. You're only at 50% of your capacity. A 50 in school, if you take a test and you get a 50, that's an F. That's a failing grade. So your measuring stick is not, are you better than the people around you? Your measuring stick is, are you better than you were the day before? That's the real measuring stick, because that's the only way you reach your full potential, by striving to make you better. Being better than your peers does not necessarily mean you've done anything. And by the same token, not being better than your peers does not necessarily mean that you have not reached your potential. What if everyone around you just has more potential than you? What if they have more talent than you? What if they have more resources than you? So them at 50% is still better than you at 100%. Well, nothing you can do about that, because you can't go past 100%. Scientifically impossible. That's as far as you've taken things as far as you can possibly take them. They haven't yet, and you're still not at their level. That doesn't mean you're a failure. You did everything you could with what you had. And not everybody's potential is the same. Like in sports, some athletes' careers will take them through high school. Some of them will play in college. Some people play in the pros. Some people go play, who knows, some alternative space. It doesn't mean that you are necessarily a failure if your career takes you to high school or college and you don't make it to the next level, whatever that next level is, because your potential, you might have maxed it out by getting on the high school team. You might have went as far as you could by making it to playing college. Maybe that's as far as you could have went. It has nothing to do with what somebody else did. So you need to be looking in the mirror at yourself and saying, am I better than I was before? Have I squeezed all the juice out of my orange? Have I squeezed all the juice out of my potential? So the real game here, folks, is you against yourself. How do you get better and improve on your current status and situation? That's the question you need to be asking yourself consistently. Let's recap today's class, which is how to not relax when you find yourself winning. This is all about how to keep your foot on the gas and not get complacent when things are going well. Number one, always have a new goal in place. It's a simple yet effective idea. As you are getting closer and closer to the goal you're working on right now, you need to make sure you have the next goal lined up so that you do not get complacent and you do not stop running. You do not stop moving yourself forward and pushing yourself to continually improve, because if you allow yourself to do it, then that's exactly what you'll do. It's human nature. Point number two, finish the job. Often the challenge is that people grow complacent when they are on their way to a goal and they reach a milestone in the process. Not the full goal, but a milestone in the process. It's like a basketball team being up by 20 points at halftime. Then they come out in the second half completely lackadaisical and they end up giving up the whole 20-point lead because they lost their focus because they hit a milestone and that they were doing good halfway through the game. The game's not over. It's only halftime. Like Kobe Bryant said after his team won Game 1 in the NBA Finals, said the job's not done. I don't have nothing to celebrate. The whole point is to win the whole series, not one game in the series. Point number three, rather. Do not use the competition as a measuring stick. All right, you being better than the peers around you does not necessarily mean you are doing as well as you could be, because you might be surrounded by a bunch of people who, compared to you, just don't have your ability. They're bums compared to you, and you might be around some people where you're a bum compared to them. So just because you aren't at their level does not necessarily mean that you haven't maxed out on your potential. Some people's potential is just at a different level than other people. Some people's potential is they're going to play in college. Some people's potential they're going to go to the Hall of Fame in their sport. Doesn't mean one person did well and another person didn't necessarily. It depends on, are you squeezing all the juice out of your potential and out of your opportunity. So the real competition is not the person to your left or to your right. The real competition is always the person in front of you, was the individual you see when you're looking in the mirror. All that said, text me to get my motivation text however often with me. I'm sending it out weekly, daily, anywhere in between. My number is 305-384-6894. And go to workonyourgame.net. All you six-figure professionals want to get to seven-figure level without killing yourself in the process. There is a process for doing that. That is at workonyourgame.net. Work on your game. Dre all day.